Okay, so in this video, what I'm going to show you guys is how to color these various flowers here using cool colors on the left, warm colors in the middle, and a combination of both cool and warm on the right. And over here to the left, I have a variety of Copic Sketch, which is this one, and a Copic Chow, which is this circular shape. These both have the super brush tip, which is what Copics are known for. And I'll be using the super brush tip to color in these areas. And so I'm going to start with my blue and actually swatch these out down here. I'm just going to stick with 3 simple colors. I've got B16, BG45, and this one's G14. So I got my cool colors, and they're cool because they lie on one half of the standard color wheel that happen to be considered just cool colors. BG45 and G14. Okay, so these are my cool colors, warm and cool and warm. So yeah, I like to just swatch them out real quick in case I don't know what they look like on marker paper, or just to make sure if I need to refill them. Sometimes you can tell if they're a little streaky before you get started. You'll be able to see that on the paper. So I think what I'm going to do is just take this blue color. It looks like it's the darkest. And I'm just going to fill in like the background area with this dark blue. And I'm using the super brush tip. Honestly, I'm just kind of guessing here. This is a complex illustration, but it's also simple because it's just the same kind of flower shape repeated into like a pattern almost. So I like these types of illustrations when I'm experimenting with colors because it gives you a general enough gist of how they'll look together, but it's not like an overly complicated subject. You know, sometimes if I try and draw like an entire landscape one color and I don't like it, I'm like, wow, that was a lot of work for something I didn't end up liking. So I like working with small illustrations like this. It's pretty nice. So yeah, I'm just taking my super brush nib and filling in this background area. And it'll make the flower stand out more by having a dark background. Sometimes having a light background with dark shapes makes it stand out too. I think I just have a preference, a personal preference towards a dark background. Okay, so that's B16. I have a mid to dark color blue. Next to blue on the color wheel is blue-green. It makes sense, it still has blue in the title. I'm going to take this and fill this in with these like inside, almost like highlight areas. To me, this looks a little bit lighter, this blue-green, than the green that I've selected. So I'm going to color the light areas with this one. And again, I'm just using the tip of the super brush nib. These areas are a little more delicate and thin. So I don't like to press very hard to the paper when I'm working in skinny, kind of thin areas like this. I'm just drawing a bunch of lines kind of put together. There we go. So yeah, I'm working with cool colors right now. A blue, a blue-green, and after this, a green. Nope, kind of went outside the lines there. That's okay. Oh, I think I forgot to color in that dark blue right over there. Whoops. Sometimes it becomes more obvious as you keep coloring, like if you missed an area or something. And actually, I think I'm going to fill the middle here with this BG45. Because what I'm going to do is layer it with the green. Set that down. Grab the B16. I forgot this little area right here. Whoops. Okay. Fill that in now. All right, now I've got this G14. And, yeah, I'll just go ahead and layer on top. It's very good. It's definitely looking more green than blue-green now. This is a pretty powerful mid-tone green. And yeah, I something to point out, all of these numbers end in 6, 5, or 4. I would call that like a mid-tone color. 6 sometimes can lean more dark. And 4 can also do the same or lean more light. Just kind of depends on the color. But yeah, it's a pretty easy rule of thumb, especially if you're new to Copic markers and new to the color range. I mean, there's 358 colors to choose from, so it can definitely get overwhelming. But I chose these 3 cool colors because they all ended in a mid-tone, either a 4, 5, or 6. So pretty safe bet. They share the same value, even though they're completely different colors. Because they end in 4, that tells me that they're going to be not super light, but not super dark. Mid-tone. And I did something similar with my warm colors as well, which I'll get to in the next doodle. But yeah, I think just for the sake of the video, I might just finish up a few more petals on the right side of my composition here, and then show what it looks like with warm colors and then with both. Part of this exercise and this template in general is to help you get comfortable with using the brush tip, moving your hand around the paper. If I wasn't recording this, sometimes I move my paper around, but sometimes when I do that, I accidentally move the paper out of the camera view, and I don't want to do that to you guys. So I'm just going to stop there. We get a general feel of how this looks, right? If I want to, I can take BG45 maybe and kind of like go outside that area just to play with, you know, shading and whatnot. I think that looks really nice too. Kind of outside the lines approach. And again, this little, it's a repeat flower illustration. It doesn't have to be, you know, perfectly rendered or anything. It's just a space for you to experiment with the colors that you have. Speaking of which, warm colors. I'm choosing Y15. Probably one of the first marker colors I bought outside of gray and brown. I use that yellow for so many things. And I use the refill ink on that yellow a lot. Okay, this is kind of starting to look like a rainbow here. Going blue all the way over. Yeah, so I'm going to add this in. This one's Y15, YR, 15, I was going to say 16, and then R24. So again, ending in 5 or 4. And maybe this time around I switch it up. Maybe I choose this like darker red, or not dark, but this mid-tone red color on the inside. See how that looks instead of having the dark color in the background. I am still using a super brush nib, lightly kind of adding in the color to these spaces. And this template is available in our line art gallery, so you can print this at home as many times as you want to get, you know, more practice in if you're new to coloring, or just it's been a while and you want to color but you don't want to draw. Sometimes I have those moods and I'm like, well, it's time to pick up a coloring book. But not all coloring books are made for markers in mind. They're usually thinner pieces of paper meant for like colored pencils or crayons or something. So I would definitely recommend printing this on a sheet of cardstock or a thicker paper. Ideally, marker paper, if you have it. And this right now, I'm actually using, Nina Premium Cardstock. Oops, runaway cap. Okay, now I'm going to use that orange, YR15. Yeah, and I'll add color in some of these petals. Normally I don't color up and down on a petal shape that's going this way, but I got kind of lazy there. So now I'm going to follow the direction of the petal with my coloring. Gotta turn my hand as I go. And probably for the sake of time, just like this guy over here with the cool colors, I may not fill in every single petal, but enough to get the gist. I'm also following a pretty straightforward coloring approach. I'm using one color to color all like the middle areas, or maybe two. I'm choosing to use orange on all of the petals. If I wanted to, I can alternate. Maybe one of these flowers has orange in here, yellow out here. Maybe I just switch it up a little bit more, but I wanted to just share kind of the basics of this and how different a palette can look if you're using warm or cool colors. And especially the last one, how you can combine the two. Okay, let's finish up a few more of these. Try not to go outside the lines too much. Okay, that looks good. Let's use that yellow. I haven't used the yellow yet. See what that looks like in the background. Yeah, I definitely prefer the dark color in the background now that I'm seeing this. But like I said earlier, it's good to see and like test things out on a test sheet like this versus spending so much time on a drawing and then poof, you made a mistake and it's, you know, can't press Control-Delete like you can on a computer. Sometimes though, that's the beauty of making traditional art. You can tell a human hand made it. It's not so automated, perhaps. Although there's a lot of really awesome digital art out there, so. Okay, there we go. It's kind of what that looks like. Similar to this composition, I chose like the mid-tone, I would say, between this is the lightest and that's the darkest. That's kind of the middle. I did the same thing over here. The darkest color, but in reverse. The darkest color in the background and the mid-tone, I mean the lightest one in the inside. So it's very obvious to me, at least, that these colors are cool. These colors are hot and they're very warm, like fire. So now I'm going to do the combination of the two. Maybe I want to make, let's see. Maybe I'll choose darker colors. Maybe I'll go with 2 of each. Let's see. I'll take away the green maybe, and I'll take away the orange. Okay. And I'll just go with these 4 colors. Basically, I just got the primary colors. I did not even mean to do that. But I'm going to swatch them out anyways. We got the cools over here. B16, BG45. I guess you don't necessarily have to do this because we already swatched them. Oh, I should have left more space. Oh well. Okay. So we've got B16. Oh, this one's BG45. Messed that up. Y15 and R24. Okay. I'm just going to rewrite this. I really messed that up. BG45. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is decide on a background color. I think what I might actually do is use these 2 colors to make a violet. So blue, which is a cool color in itself, but maybe I'll test that out and put blue. So what I'm doing here is adding blue to the background, and I'll stop there for a second. And let's see what it looks like with the red on top. It's definitely going to make it much darker. Yeah, and it gives off that purpley-ish kind of red-violet color. Yeah, I like that. That looks very nice. And again, I'm just creating a darker, cool color here. So maybe I'll go on top, right down there. That's going to create like a really pretty blue-violet or red-violet. But I'll finish that with the rest. So I'm using a warm and a cool color to make a secondary color, which is purple. And what's interesting is if you think about it, the primary colors, there's two warms and a cool. But it's a lot more common, at least with Copic markers, to have more cool colors than there are warm. Let's go ahead and add that red. This is R24. Okay, yeah, that color, that background is looking really dark, but looking really nice. Okay, now how do I want to color the flowers? Well, I think what I'm going to do is actually alternate, like I was saying earlier over here. I think what I'm going to try is maybe this big flower down here, yellow, these two colors, the Y15 and the BG45. So I'm going to put that Y15 in the inside area, and I'll put the BG45 on the outside, the big portion of the petal. And I can already tell just by blending these two colors to make a new one, a new violet. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in too. This composition in general is starting to look a little bit more dynamic because it's going to have a balance of the two. I'm going to layer this here, kind of make it green. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, so even though this is a blue-green, it does have a very strong blue presence to this color. What is it? Nile blue, BG45. So when I added this on top of the yellow in the middle, it produced a green, a secondary color. Similar to how red and blue in the background made the purple. So what I like here is that this blue is contrasting against that yellow on the inside. And so it really is kind of like bursting like the sun. I think it looks really pretty. And it's just a really nice contrast between the cool and the warm color. That looks nice. Okay, what I might do now is go on this flower up here and do this in reverse. So I'm going to put the blue-green 45 on the inside. Perfect. And then add that to the middle. And now I'll take Y15, oops, and go on the outside and the middle. Can't forget that. But what's cool is that the green in the middle, whether I put the yellow first or the blue first, it actually ends up looking the same. So the order of which the color is applied doesn't matter when you're trying to produce a new color. Sometimes it matters to the sake of the nib, because this yellow nib, if this was a really dark blue or blue-green, could get stained. So sometimes dealing with alcohol-based pigments, you can stain a nib. It's very common with yellows or other pale colors, but so far this one isn't too dirty, and if they're kind of dirty, I just scrub them on like this white area and kind of squeegee it until it's clean. That's usually works. If not, I just use a little bit of Zero blender to kind of rub it clean. Okay, so I've got that dark blue and the red now. I've got lots of little flowers in the background. I think what I'm going to do is the same thing, but with the red and the blue. So I'm going to take the red and fill in these areas here. Okay, and then the opposite right behind it. I'll color that in. So now I'm just kind of trying the opposite effect. Okay, and then that one I'll fill those in. Maybe I'll color that one in entirely. Same over here. I'm going to fill these in. I'm just doing my best to kind of alternate in this composition. Again, such a simple subject. It's just flowers, but it can get pretty advanced if you want it to be. Okay, and then I need to color in the thin striped areas here. Perfect. I think I might color that in, but leave this middle just for the blue, just the straight up blue, because I've already layered these two colors for the background. I don't want the center of the flower to get kind of lost, so I'm leaving it blank. And then I'll just use the blue. Oh, I forgot that area there. I'm gonna have to put red on top of that. Okay, now I'm just kind of adding this in the background. And I've created a lot of contrast in this area, this, I guess, rectangle in particular, because I chose to put warm and cool together at the same time on the same flower. What I could have done here instead was alternate, like an entirely warm flower, an entirely cool flower, but I think the composition is more interesting and the pattern looks more intriguing because I put warm and cool on the same flower. I can tell this this marker color I use quite a bit, and it's getting close to being needed to be refilled because the marker starts to look a little more streaky. It just doesn't lay as flat whenever it's starting to run out. So it looks like I gotta run and get my Copic ink soon for this one. I think, speaking of Copic ink, I probably have had this marker for 8 years, roughly. And I've already refilled it with an entire bottle of various ink in the past. I use blues all the time. So it's definitely one of those I buy the refill inks for a lot. But I can forecast it and kind of see when it's coming, so that's nice. Okay, oh, I needed that red in this area here. Perfect. Yeah, so even though I didn't take the time to completely fill in these other two, we can clearly tell that we have warm colors. They're very bright and harmonious. Same with these blue, green, and green. They are directly next to each other on the color wheel, and they are on the cool or warm side. So because they're right next to each other on the wheel, we call that analogous colors. And these types of palettes are the most pretty to look at. They're so easy on the eye because they're just one color fading into the other, very simply. Whereas this is, of course, these two are next to each other, but they're on opposite sides. So this is almost like not a split complementary, but they're competing. It's a tetrad. There's 4 colors, and they're on opposite sides. And so this is going to produce, and does have, a more spicy composition. There's more contrast, there's less rest for the eye, but it's still very beautiful in a little bit more of a busy way. But yeah, you can produce new colors with them as well. So over here I actually have 5 colors versus, because I made a purple with these 2, versus over here I only have 3. So that's another contributing factor why this ends up looking a lot more busy and high contrast, more colors as well. So yeah, I would definitely recommend printing out this template, just creating a Copic color palette on your own, add your own palette titles, add your swatches, and try it out. I mean, we have a very simple floral illustration here to test things out, practice your coloring, practice your shading. I did a little bit of that over here with the blue, green, and the green. But yeah, print this out and on marker paper at home and give it a try yourself. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. We hope to see you guys soon. Bye.